Yeah. Damn, you pay attention, bro. Holy shit.
Hey, I do what I do.
Yeah, what the mother were moshing like they had like healthcare was free or something. So you've been around. Yeah, you've been around. Been around. You know about But for like metal shows, they like to look at the guitarists like doing the solos and the drummer. I'm just like a guy to them. I'm just like, I just work here, bro.
I guess you guys won some sort of contest with him. He was doing this thing on his Twitch, right?
You're like the Nardwar of deathcore, bro. That's sick.
Real quick before we start, I just wanted to mention that we do these podcast recordings live on stream. We stream every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST on Twitch. It's an opportunity for you guys to come hang out, interact, and ask your questions directly to all of our guests. We also have a Discord if you want to keep talking more about deathcore and metalcore, or simply to keep up with everything that we're doing, upcoming guests, and all that jazz. I'll leave links to both of these things in the description wherever you are watching or listening. And with that out of the way, please enjoy this episode. Welcome everyone to the Brutality Podcast. This is episode number 7. I am joined, as always, Yan. Say what's up.
Hello. What up?
And we are joined this week by Simon of Tracheotomy. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Full transparency. Tracheotomy, is that how we say it?
Tracheotomy, because it's
tracheotomy. I've been saying it wrong the whole time, baby.
I'm not even trying. I won't even try if I'm.
Yan hasn't tried, but okay, we're both French. To be fair, that's our thing. We're both French. That's the excuse. But how you doing, dude? How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
Dude, we were just listening to some of your videos and stuff, and I kept saying the whole time, these freaking vocals, man, it's insane. Honestly, it's awesome for real. Like all our chat was like tripping. It's super cool to have you here. Like we're big fans of the old school deathcore sound, right? Like the rawness of deathcore. So having you here, it's super wholesome for us.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Let's kick this off. I mean, I think that'd be something interesting to talk about to start it off, I guess. If we're looking at like the typical bio that's put out there, Florida deathcore inspired by 2000s bands like Suicide Silence, Molotov Solution, Chelsea Grin. Now tell me, for you yourself personally, and I guess the band, like where do you specifically like take inspiration from? Like, do you have any other bands aside from that you're big into? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts.
Oh, for sure. So I was into hardcore before I was into deathcore. So I take influence from like 2000s and 2010s, like hardcore bands. For deathcore though, it's mainly just vocalists. I think like Oceano is probably my favorite band. Ben Dewar was like insane. And I think we have like similar
I hear it in
styles.
The tone. I hear it.
Yeah, you can see it. Like Oceano. What you were listening to, King Conquer, a bunch of like shit. Yeah, and then like a bunch of shit that came out when I was probably like 7. That like like the MySpace days that you would just click on someone's profile and it would just blast at you like
You forget your speakers were full volume and scared the shit out of you.
Yeah, and let's be real, King Conquer was like terrifying. Like these freaking vocals, the first time I heard that, I was surprised that you could make these sounds. Like I was like, that's doable. Like what, like, he's a pretty intense vocalist.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite parts about it. Like when we're done playing on tours and stuff, people will come up to us and be like, dude, I would have never thought you could do this, or like, how old are you guys? So just not fitting in, I guess. I really like it. funny.
There's something to be said, I guess. Like I always had that personally. I'm scrawnier than you are. You clearly work out and shit. You've got some guns, but but for me myself, like that was always kind of the comment too. Like, how the fuck do you get this like super low vocal out of you? You're so skinny. Like you'd expect like a monstrous fucking dude, like a big ass bear to do those sort of vocals. But it's always funny to see like smaller people do that too. Younger people as well, I guess.
Especially people who don't really know how, like, I mean, anyone can really do vocals and it doesn't really matter your size. Like Phil Bozeman is probably my number one like influence.
Yeah.
And he's probably like 5'4", 5'5", right? Something like that. But yeah, he's like tiny, but he's like the best, in my opinion, like the best deathcore vocalist that's like ever been.
Yeah, like honestly, Phil, like we were listening to the memorial show, right, for Mitch, and
That's
his performance at the end of the sound.
Insane, dude.
I think for me still, those are some of the best vocals I've ever heard in my entire life, and it was live. It's mind blowing to me that he did that. Just nailed it. Like it sounds like a studio performance. Like it looks like someone took like hours to fix everything so that it sounds like a monster, and it was him live. And he's been consistent like for years. He's always sounding super, like they still play This Is Exile, still sounds crazy. So like yeah, he's an amazing vocalist and cool person too, like super easygoing and cool guy. So yeah, I think he's been like I think for a long time, and even today, he's like the guy for the low pitch vocals. Like, I think he's always been known as that. Like, trying to hit the Phil Bozeman lows is kind of always like a challenge or something for all the vocalists. It's crazy.
For sure, because he was doing this stuff in like 2006, and I would say he developed like the deathcore vocal style, because back then like no one was fucking with his range. Like no one could even get close,
Everyone tried,
Yep.
but no one
everyone
could.
tried.
Yeah. Everyone was getting on that train for a little bit, but it was more of an aspiration more than something that people were able to achieve. It's kind of crazy actually to see how far we've come, because you listen to a lot of newer vocalists today, and there's like no shortage of vocalists that do the craziest fucking things and can hit those kind of lows. Like I wouldn't necessarily like say rival with Phil Bozeman, like he's the fucking GOAT, but a lot of people doing way more at least than what people were doing back then.
Yeah, I also think that there was this, I think we talked about that recently, but back in the days, it was this mystery thing, right? Nowadays, you have like tutorial and people like that. But back then, you had to try and figure out for yourself. And like, nobody really knew.
A lot of people looking real stupid in their cars.
Yeah. And I'm included in that. Like even today, I look stupid as shit. Like I'm going to go and pick a glass of water. I'm trying things and I'm doing sounds and stuff. But like, I like the fact that today there's like a lot of tutorial and like information and stuff, but I kind of miss those days where you didn't know, and it was kind of like, what are people going to do next? Like who's the next, high pitch, whatever person, or I feel like back then it was like Mitch Locker for the high pitch vocals and Phil Bozeman for the low pitch. And it was like, these two were like the goats and stuff. But now it's like you said, there's so many upcoming people that you didn't know, and they're like amazing, and you're like, who's that? Like so it's a special time for sure.
Did you guys all, when you guys started the band, were you guys all like fucking heavy with those old bands and stuff? Like you guys collectively all enjoyed that, or were people kind of all over the place and that's what you guys ended up like landing on? Because you guys have been super like OG MySpace sounding like from the beginning, right? Like it hasn't really been like there's been progression in the sound, but that quality to it has always been there, right?
Yeah, the writing is inspired by that, and it's going to continue to be inspired by that. That's just like what we love doing. And back then I would say it was more like straight up deathcore than it is now, because now we take influence from like old Dying Fetus or like old Cryptopsy or like modern hardcore, and then like the peak of deathcore like 2009, 2010, So yeah, back then it was like just the most evil, like breakdowns, fast, just deathcore, like MySpace.
Yeah, yeah. How do you guys? I guess because for me and Yan, like we're both old as shit. So like we lived through, like we were like religiously on MySpace. That's how we found all these bands back in the day and stuff. But I'm curious for someone who's maybe newer to. I'm assuming when you were 6, 7 years old, you weren't on MySpace, right?
Yeah, I had like older siblings who like
Okay.
were on it. I'm not gonna say that like that's where I got it from because I didn't, but that did like show me
You
seeing
saw it
music
at least
exists.
somewhat, right? Like yeah.
Yeah, like from what I remember, it was more like scene core, like I set my friends on fire, attack shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I think like wrestling is what got me into like metal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are
like
you big into
WWE.
wrestling, or is that just like something that happened?
I used to be, and then my mom would see like what I was watching on the screen, and she was like, "I don't want you watching this anymore."
And then
Um,
you'd say, "No, all good. I'll go
I'm a
listen to Suicide
RKO
Silence
you. I'm
instead."
kidding.
Yeah. Like,
um,
no, not that either.
yeah, no, yeah, because CM Punk had like Kill Switch Engage as his intro, and
Yeah.
then I think like Code Orange eventually did something with the WWE, and that like when I heard that, I was like, "Whoa!" And then I had like unsupervised access to the internet. So I just went like deep. Like I
Yeah,
know like
down the rabbit hole.
yeah. So then that's how I found out about that shit.
That's
But
cool,
yeah.
man. Yeah. Do you were I'm curious again. I guess with the beginning of the band, were you guys friends before, or did you guys find each other through other bands or from doing other music and stuff like that?
For the most part, yeah, we've been friends before. We found Brandon, our guitarist, because his girlfriend works at Spirit Halloween. Or used to work at Spirit Halloween.
Okay, as one does, yeah.
And then our old bassist like became friends with her, and then she was like, "Oh my god, my boyfriend loves it," because tracheotomy was already a thing.
Okay.
He was trying to plug the band in and stuff, and then she was like, "Oh my god, like my boyfriend loved this band, and we needed a guitarist, so he like sent over a video of him playing Slaughter to Prevail, and it was
Okay.
like, dude, his energy in the video was like fire. It was really good. And then he's been like amazing ever since, like consistent, probably the best stage presence I've ever seen, and like a good guitar player. So
Yeah, that's something I wanted to point out also, like in your videos, and you guys, like, you have a strong, performance thing where you all move and you go crazy and stuff. Was that something that just was natural for all of you, or was that like something you discussed? Like, we need to go crazy. Like, we want to, we want to move. We don't want to stay like still like this. Like, kind of curious.
yeah, I think our music is like the perfect balance of parts where like some of them are too hard where you have to stand still, and
Yeah.
then the
Just
breakdowns are
shred the
like
fuck out of it, yeah.
yeah, and some of them are just like slow enough and like easy enough to where we could just like almost kiss the floor with how hard we're like moving,
Yeah.
headbanging. Um, but I guess it's natural because we are like hyper, we need to like
Yeah.
release our energy and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's how um that influenced our stage presence. And every once in a while, if we have a feeling that like the show is going to be really good, I'll like tell everyone like, yo, dance,
This will be
bro.
it.
Like
Yeah.
dance. Like I need to see your shit spinning and
You
bouncing.
usually
Like,
say that
yeah.
to the crowd, but a little pep talk for the band before too can't
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. Like when we played with a Paleface Swiss,
Yeah.
we did
You
like
guys did like 3 dates with them, right?
yeah, we did like a 3 day leg of their tour, and they were incredible, by the way. Really awesome dudes. Everyone on that tour package was amazing. But they had like a connection with each other that like I've never seen in any other bands ever. And they would have like a mini huddle before their set and like on three, 1, 2, 3, wow. And then they would say some shit in German, and it would be like the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're like their stage presence is sick.
Yeah, I think it's something that people can definitely feel. Like we were also talking about that recently, but as a fan, as someone who's there, like you can feel that energy, you can feel that connection, like that connection within a band, and that they're enjoying themselves, and it makes your experience much more enjoyable and wholesome, I think. And stage presence is something I think is very important. If I think about, I keep mentioning Mitch Locker, but he was going insane live. Like I've never seen that. Like it would be the whole time with all these, signature moves and stuff. And it does make a difference. The way a band moves and go crazy, like the crowd feel like they have to go crazy. You almost feel bad standing still when you see a band like, destroying the stage. So I think it's a good thing that you guys are going crazy like that. So
Yeah, and like bands also influenced our stage presence too. I mean, I think that goes for like a lot of people who were like in their first band. I mean, this isn't my first band, but like who are in their first band and they're playing their first few shows, they're like, fuck, bro, what do I do? Like, do I just stand there? But yeah, like Mitch Lucker was like a big one, like influence. And it's just like you said, like letting the crowd know like we're having fun too.
yeah, and
I love.
Sorry, Dom, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say real quick, like I love tech death. I love tech death, but goddamn, are a lot of tech death bands boring to watch live because it's too much for them to also move at the same time. Yeah, or like the drummer like has to be like super locked in focus, and it's like it's impressive to hear, but it's not the same thing as like there's something to like, people will reference bands as being like dummy bands or like caveman riffs or whatever and stuff like that, where you kind of like it's part of the thing is to be more simple because you can just go all the fuck out, and there's something fun about that, especially live. I don't know. There's always, I always, the good shows that I can remember always are because the band members were going the fuck off,
Yeah, and personally, and I know it's different for everybody, but for me, I much rather see a band that maybe it wasn't perfectly like executed all the notes, but they're moving, they're going crazy. I don't care if like a riff, like one of the notes were not like perfect. I couldn't care less. But if the energy is there and it's freaking awesome, I would rather much go at a show like that personally. And I think there's a lot of people like that. They won't even notice. Of course, in the room, you're gonna have like 10 guitar player trying to listen to like one mistake. Yeah, probably. But the rest of the people just enjoy themselves and they're gonna appreciate a band, going insane. I think it's part of the kind of music, you're doing. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and most of the times, if the show is crazy enough, the people who are like involved in like moshing, jumping, stage diving, they won't notice that a note was missed or like, I don't know, like the slightest difference that like if you're on stage, you would notice. If you're like the band playing, you would notice. But like, yeah, like if it's crazy enough and people were like having a great time, I'd much rather prefer that too.
That's not what people are going to remember. Like the note, right?
I don't think like if there's someone, like maybe one person, but I had a question also. Do you have a specific performance you guys did where like, I'm kind of curious to know if one show stands out and that people really went insane that you remember, like that it was like very like the pit were like huge and stuff, or is it always kind of like that? I'm curious.
Actually, before you go, I'm curious if it's in Florida because because fuck man, every time I see these fucking shows in Florida, you guys are going fucking insane in the crowd. I don't know what it is down there. I mean, there's crazy bands too, but like, I don't know. If I had to guess, it's going to be a Florida show, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I have a few answers for that because before we started touring, I think the bar for shows and like crowd reaction was really high because where we live, a lot of people go to shows. And when we dropped our EP, like a lot more people started going to shows. And I would say like our EP release show, which is a whole other story on its own, that was the craziest like I've ever seen. It was like motherfuckers were moshing like they had like healthcare was free or something, you know. And
They thought
bro,
they were
like,
in Canada, for God's
dude,
sake.
as if like the floor was like a trampoline or something, like front flips off stages, cartwheels off stages, like crazy energy. People like knew our lyrics. I was like, whoa, like, and that was like the first show
That's
we
cool
did
because
back in a while. Yeah.
your guys' headline show too, right? Like it's not like, oh, this crowd's fucking crazy, but it was a festival that like,
Yeah.
Those things are always cool, but it's doubly cool if it's like your own headline show, right?
Yeah. And like the weekend after that, so that was our EP release show in like September 2022. The weekend, maybe like 2 weeks after that, my buddy Wes booked us at like this new spot, which this new spot ended up being like the main spot for heavy shows in South Florida now. And we did this show and like it got affected by the hurricane. I forgot what hurricane it was.
Sure.
Some hurricane. Oh, the one that like tore through Fort Myers. And yeah, like one of the bands had to drop and like no one was reposting. And I was like, fuck, like, no one's gonna pull up to this shit. And it was like so packed. And that also had like a bunch of people stage diving. And I was like, dude, what? Like, I'm never gonna judge like how I think a show is gonna go, like based off the internet again. Like, and that was when it kind of clicked for me, like, okay, like this is
yeah. I
like
mean,
awesome.
it's more than just the internet. I guess there was a fucking tornado or hurricane
Yeah,
thing going on. You know, that's pretty extreme.
The
I wouldn't have
hurricane had,
faulted
like,
people for staying home. You know.
Yeah, the hurricane had like already passed or something, and like yeah, the opener's car got like fucked up, and I don't know, I don't remember. I know the opener had to drop. A new opener hopped on, and it was like a 4-band bill, like one of the best shows we've ever played.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And kind of like a similar question, I guess, but like, do you have a specific song you play that every time people go more insane on, or is it pretty much your whole set? Like, did you notice that one song it's like people are going insane? Because I know certain bands sometimes that's the case. I'm kind of curious if there's one.
I think it depends what kind of show we're playing, because we play like metal shows, we play hardcore shows, we play deathcore shows, and there's all like different reception at those shows. So like I would say at like hardcore shows, the slower, more breakdowns songs like gets received the best. And I'd say like for deathcore shows as well. But for like metal shows, they like to look at the guitarists like doing the solos and the drummer. I'm just like a guy to them. I'm just like, I just work here, bro. Yeah.
I guess this is part of it. No, but no, that's cool because you know, for a band, when you do crazy music, it must be less motivating if people are, you know, just standing still and not really doing things, as opposed to like people going insane. Like if you give me the choice right now between being in this insane big place but no one is moving, or being in a small venue but people are going crazy, I'm gonna pick the small venue personally because it's gonna be more fun. So
that's what I learned on a tour we just got back from with Left to Suffer and a few others. I think the tentative routing was like 200 to 600 cap rooms. So we would play like really big rooms, and then the next day we would play like a pub.
Yeah.
And I would be like, yeah, I kind of like the smaller one better. It's like more personal. I could look at people, and like I do love the big stage, like, you know, the big rooms.
Yeah. Having more space to move around.
Yeah, but
if the
I'd
600
like,
cap is full front to back,
of course,
I mean that'll be a banger. But if you're gonna have 200 people either way, or rather it be a sold out show in a smaller pub, you know?
Yeah, I think one of the venues we played at was the Forge in Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah, that's a cool venue.
Like 1,000 cap, I think, and we played that room. And it
1,000
was
people in there? Holy shit.
1,000. No. Not 1,000 people like showed up, but it's 1,000.
No. But I'm thinking because I've been there and I'm thinking of the size of the place and I have a hard time imagining 1,000 people. But I guess all the way to the back because the stage is like kind of off to the side and it like opens up where the bar is and everything. I guess.
Yeah, and there's like a second floor too. But yeah, that one's like 1,000 cap, and it was a packed show. But before the show, I was like, damn, like a barricade, like no stage diving, like what? But yeah, that was one of my favorites. And then another venue was like Vino's in Little Rock, Arkansas. That was like probably the smallest one. I was like awesome because it was so small.
Yeah, I think it's part of the MySpace thing, right? Like when deathcore started, you could see like these backyard shows or like these really small gym venues or something, like with the band at the same level and like people mushing going crazy.
Floor,
the example I have that I'm always naming is Elysia, I think Elysia, I never know how to pronounce it, but they're a good example of that. They would go in these small venue and people would just break everything, and it's a different experience. But I also get that it's also cool, right, to be in a big place where, you know, with a lot of people, it's probably another kind of adrenaline as well to
for sure.
You know, so I get that.
I mean, I guess that's kind of, we can get into the tour you guys just announced a couple of days ago, because those will be some bigger venues, right?
Yeah. A few like bucket list venues too. Like Chain Reaction in Anaheim.
Yep.
Like Jan just said, Alicia played there, and it's like all over YouTube. Amir like played there back in the day.
That's like a legendary venue.
Classic.
For sure.
Of course, dude. And Palladium in Worcester.
Worcester.
Whatever.
Yeah, you got to not think about the letters.
Yeah, Worcester, and that one should be sick. And then like coming back home, I mean, not really home because like I don't really consider Orlando and Jacksonville home, but like coming back to Florida, where like we're from, on tour is like cool, you know.
Yeah. Because so what's the bill? It's Enterprise Earth, Crown Magnetar. Who's the other band?
It's in Fairy. They're like a tech.
Oh, in Fairy. Yeah. Those guys are the homies, by the way. Have you met those guys?
No. I think we just like exchanged a few comments when the tour got announced, and
they're super fucking cool.
I'll probably message them or something.
Yeah, both of the guitarists in those bands, Malcolm and Mike, both of those guys are super fun. Like they're sweethearts. They're really fucking cool. Always down to help people out, and always a good sport about everything. I forgot that they were on that tour. That's super fucking cool. I was doing some, well, when you specifically posted the flyer, you were talking about in your post how it was kind of like a full circle moment for you, because the first deathcore show you ever went to was an Enterprise Earth show. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was Enterprise Earth is co-headliner with Lorna Shore in 2019. And at that show, I was like finally old enough to go to shows, because I guess like in Florida, like not a lot of tour packages come here. Or not a lot, but to like South Florida, because it's an extra 3 or 4 hours of routing. Yeah. So we either like
and then back, right?
Yeah,
it's just like an 8 hour kind of
Yeah. So then we would either like not get shows, or they would be like 18, 21 plus. So I like couldn't go to any. But that one, I was like finally old enough to go. And when I like heard that, and like the sound and the lighting and all the dudes were nice, it was like, oh shit. That was like, okay. And then I ended up playing that venue. Like that's where our EP release show was, like that same venue.
Okay, cool.
Like 3 years later, so that was sick.
Yeah.
But
kind
then for
a
like
full circle thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a sorry them, but I was curious to know if like, because by now you've played with, you know, big bands, really cool bands. I'm just curious if there's like one that you really became close with. Like I'm just like, as you became friends or something during tours. Or maybe all of them almost. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like us and Enterprise Earth and Crown Magnetar are like close, but we definitely hit it off really well, and they were like really nice dudes and showed us a lot of love. And they were like super humble, and like I'm glad they like asked us to come out with them. And then Chamber was this. They offered us a tour in like October, and we ended up going with them, and we toured with them in December again. So
On
like
that Left to Suffer gig.
yeah. I
Right.
learned a lot from them.
You did some routing dates with them too, from like going or coming back from that tour, right?
Nah. We just did a festival before that tour, like in Houston, started in Austin, and then from Baltimore, just took it straight home.
Yeah.
And yeah, I learned a lot from those dudes. Really nice as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And earlier we were talking about Left to Suffer. I really have to mention, we were talking about like how terrifying someone can be. Like I've seen performances live of this dude during a breakdown, during the most gnarly freaking sound I've ever heard in my life. His vocals sound so freaking powerful. Like I've never seen them live though, but like when you toured, I guess like they killed it, right? Like they seem to be on a roll of like just killing it and getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I got to see how like people ride for that band, and they're also like great. That was like the most organized tour we've been a part of, and all the way in like Nebraska to like Quebec City, there was people lining up at their merch table, you know, and they treated the fans very nice, and they performed very well. Like their whole team is like great.
And they seem like cool dudes too, right? Like, I mean, as person, like they look pretty cool. Like I've seen a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. They seem like super easygoing and cool. So I feel like that's a plus also. Yeah. Like when you tour with people and they're easygoing, probably takes a lot of pressure off as opposed to, you know, touring with, you know, super serious and like introverted people. So.
Yeah, of course. And that tour had like a lot of people. There's a lot of people on that tour because there was like 5 bands, and a lot of the bands had like more than 5 members, or like 5, 6 people on the team
Plus crew
entirely.
or whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when we just met them at the first show, we like hit it off well and just like developed a little friendship as we went, because you know you kind of like travel with these people and see them every day for like a month.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't talk at all, it's going to be awkward after several times. Better to you know to
it
hang
happens
out.
Though, man. I've seen it. I mean, it's not great, but you know,
Yeah,
sometimes people just don't like each other, and it is what it is.
Yeah, or there have been times where like you're busy and don't get to say hi to someone on the package for like 2 or 3 days. You're like, oh, what's your name, by the way? Yeah. Which I've found myself in that a few times.
Oh, but it's fine too, and I know Dom, you're probably gonna have questions, but I had like another one just for the live performances. I love to ask if you know, not to be negative, but is there any I don't have, for the lack of better words, like fuck up during a show? Like, do you remember something that happened, like, you know, maybe like a technical thing or whatever, but something that happened during a show that made you freak out a little bit? Or
I wouldn't say like freak out, because when you're on stage, it's not really the time to freak out.
Yeah,
you gotta play it off as much as you can, unless you physically cannot play. But yeah, this happens, and even to like the biggest bands, like sometimes, you know, it can happen. So I can't like freak out in the moment and be like, what the fuck? But yeah, I'd say like on this past tour, there were like 2 or 3 times where I was like, shit. But
do you guys have like backing tracks and stuff? There isn't really much going on more than music, is there?
No, we do like, so we kind of set up a click track that's just like however long our allotted set is. So like example, like 25 minutes, we'll have song, interlude.
The songs are laid out so that it makes sense. Yeah.
Interlude, and just keeps going. And sometimes in the interludes we'll include like a little beat or something, or like a little instrumental, and we play with bass drops, backing tracks. Like, we just got a bassist, so we were putting bass on the like through the tracks.
Oh, you guys weren't touring with the bassist. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so that was kind of annoying. And then there was a show, I'm not gonna say where it was, that the dude completely forgot to like check our tracks, and he was rushing us. And I was using an X Vive like monitor just to hear myself in the tracks, and if I want to, I can hear guitars. And my mic cut off for like the first song, and then I looked at the guy. I was like, and then I
was like, what's going on?
What the fuck? And then the thing in my ears like was not coming out, but I was just like, took one out, made sure my mic came back on, and I just like made it about me and the crowd. I was like, you know what? Can't stress about the shit right now. Let's just like have fun. And that was actually like a good show. I mean, and I think everyone understood it's like not our fault. So,
yeah. Wasn't your fault the vocal cut out, right?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and I think you said it right. It happens to, there's no band out there that never went through something like that. It's impossible, because you rely on the place where you play, right? Like you rely on a lot of things. So even if you gave the best performance of your life, things like that, the mic that cuts, or sometimes it's like, I've seen that. Sometimes it's the guitar player, nothing is coming out anymore and stuff. So like it's I think it's part of it, and the reaction you had, just reconnecting with people, it's kind of a way of saying, okay, this happened, fuck it, let's keep going. And people just appreciate that, and it's fun anyway, and it doesn't have to be dramatic at all. It's just like, okay, this happened. And
exactly, yeah. I mean, I think everyone's thinking the same thing when something happens, kind of like oh shit.
Yeah.
But if you like know how to recover from it, and like you said, just bring it up, or you can just be like, yo, sorry about this, like we're dealing with this, and let's just keep the shit moving, something like that. And they'll just give you the same energy.
Yeah, exactly. I've even seen some bands they're just like, we're gonna replay the song because it fucked up, and they just like redo it. I'm like, okay, why not? So and it happens to big bands, like even outside of metal. Like I went to see Blink-182 live, and because they're one of my favorite thing, and they tried playing a song for some reason with all the light closed, so they were in the dark, and it didn't work. Like it just didn't work, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna replay it because it was terrible, and they just redo it, and people laugh. So I think it's always a matter of how you handle it and how you react. Like if you freak out, of course people are gonna notice and feel bad, but if you're just having fun and you're on the moment, people are going to go with it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever I see like that happen to a band and I'm like paying attention, I have that like, oh shit moment in my head, and I see the front man do it like an amazing job at recovering. And I'm like, okay, noted. Because if that ever happens to us, like I just have to do that.
Yeah. I think the classic example is if there is a fuck up, even if it's on your, like if it's your fault, you look at the sound guy and you tell him like, wait, what the fuck's going on here? What the fuck? It's playing the sound guy always.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you said you guys just got a bassist. It's the guy you guys got is the old bassist for Tactosa, right?
Yeah, it's Vendel from Tactosa. That was like our best friend band, I guess. Yeah. And we're like, I mean, Vendel's in another band, and he hit us up. Or no, I think he might have hit Brandon up. Like, yo, like, I mean, I got like the touring availability. Like I have an in-ear rig. I can record at my house. He's got like everything, bro. Like he's a beast.
Yeah. It's a musician.
And then he uploaded a video of himself playing the simulation on bass. Like no context. You just like
no tabs, no
playing
like,
it.
whatever.
And I'm like, okay. And then I swiped up and I was like, yo, you should play with us. And then it took a minute. He probably could have gone on the Left to Suffer tour with us, but we didn't want to like rush anything. But he will be joining us for the Enterprise Earth tour.
It's a big
tour.
Yeah,
he's just it's long, but yeah, he's like a main member of the band now, so that's sick. I'm excited to have him.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's always great to fill in the spots that you guys are missing too. You know, like you said, like you having the bass through the tracks, like it does the job, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Is ultimately never going to be the same than having the extra band member on stage and having like a real bass rig set up and everything, right?
Yeah, and he provided like a whole like in-ear rig that everyone has their own like patch that they can use, and they have their own custom mix. So I can get like clicks and whatever I want in my ears. And I think that's going to make us play a lot tighter. So yeah.
Were you guys, because you guys were already playing you were already playing with in-ears, right? Was the whole band playing in in-ears?
I was, and every drummer we've ever had.
Yeah, like, I mean, drummer. He has to. There's no.
Especially with like
if one person has it, it has to be the drummer.
Shit that we play and like the weird time changes, because we have like some weird ass time changes.
Yeah, but I mean, even just for the click track, right? Like he's the one starting the songs and everything. He has to start it. Like
leans over and hits the laptop or hits his phone, and so now everybody's gonna be on in-ears, so that's sick.
Yeah, and you have a lot of like, I don't know how to explain it, but like insane just switch of pace. So like you're gonna go on vocal crazy, and then something else starts. So like you guys need to be like, you cannot just start at different times for no reason. You have to be like super tight. So
of course, and it's like actually like really hard, like very difficult. But with enough practice, you can like have fun playing it, make sure it's tight, have like a fat ass bass drop just come out the PA system.
Dude, bass drops
or the
are
subs.
Like, that's something I notice in your music and I appreciate. Like, I always love a bass drop that makes the whole sound just I don't know how to explain it, but
track
like
clip almost.
Kind of
when you hear it, when it's not just like when you can hear it not wearing like professional headphones, when you really hear like almost the high notes to the that's always
the best thing. Like that's what I've been telling. Like I'm working on music right now.
Every deathcore band used to have that, but that shit doesn't really exist all that much anymore. People aren't doing it.
And like the guy who's mixing my stuff was laughing because I told him, "Can you please ruin the song, like the sound of this moment? Like when the bass drop, can you make it that it breaks the moment completely? Because it creates like, especially live bass drops are making such a big difference for like the experience. So like when you have crazy bass drops, it's like, and then you hear like the vocals. I don't know. There's something about that. And for a while, it was kind of gone. Mm-hmm. Like bands would like stop doing it, but it was so awesome. So it's cool that you guys
glad to see you guys bringing it back. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how we have the live ones set up.
Awesome.
Where you can hear the high notes. They're really long. But yeah, that's
sound guys fucking hate that shit so much.
Probably. Yeah.
Every venue is like, oh, can you turn that down? Nah, deal with it.
Oh, bro.
Turn it up.
Turn it up. There's a venue around here that like there's a lot of subs right under the stage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the stage is like hollow and the subs are under it. So when you're playing and
even you feel
play a breakdown, it goes up through your body and it's like, whoa.
you literally feel it completely, that's pretty cool. I there's also this question that I love asking, if like, if you could pick a band to tour with, like, I guess your dream bands to tour with, like if you have a few or one in mind that you didn't already, do you have? like certain bands
Yeah,
like
what's
that?
the dream tour lineup?
Dream tour.
For sure.
You know, yeah.
Okay. Not a lineup. I could answer that after, but I'm gonna just name a bunch of bands. Right now.
Doable or not? It doesn't have to be realistic, you know. Like
So definitely Whitechapel. That would be awesome because like I like them because of their old music, but I also think their new vibe with like softer stuff is actually really good.
Yeah.
And also so I can like meet Phil Bozeman, like that would be sick. And I think Knocked Loose, definitely. Lorna Shore, because they were also my first deathcore show.
Right, with
Lorna
the
Shore would
Enterprise
be dope.
Yeah.
Oceano, we were supposed to tour with them, and then
I was so bummed for you guys, man.
Yeah,
when I saw that come in, and it was like branded around being like the what was it, the Deathcore's Not Dead tour, I think it was called. I remember seeing you guys on that lineup with Through the Eyes of the Dead too, and I was like, oh, this is like the perfect blend of like two old school fucking bands with like the new kids fucking doing it, you know.
So you've been around, you've been around, been around, you know about, because that, man, when we got that offer in our email, we were like, holy shit. That was our first tour. We had no idea how we were gonna like make it around the country, but we were like, yes. And then we were able to play So What Fest, which was arguably the biggest crowd we've played to yet. And that was
how was that? Awesome. How was the reception?
Really good. I mean, that was our first time playing Dallas, and because of an old like label that my friend used to run, I have like a lot of friends in Dallas. It was at Paper Wings Records. He did the first Dissimulation press ever.
Do you still have some of those cassettes lying around, or are those all gone?
For myself. I mean, just one for myself, but like we sold it all.
Yeah.
And Paper Wings like retired, so we probably can't do that again unless it'll be like a pain in the ass to do again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had like a big Dallas following. So I saw like a bunch of Twitter people like in the pit, and stage was massive. It was hot as fuck that day. 113 heat index.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And and then I got to meet, we did like a little after show, which was really sick. That was like in the same day we played like a festival room, because it was indoors. It was in like a big ass like flea market room.
Yeah.
And we did a small bar like later on that night, because our set for the fest was at like 1:45 p.m.
Okay.
And then our set at night was like 9:30.
That was pretty fucking like badass though. It was sets the same day. That was probably fucking rocked after that.
Yeah, we had an off day the next day, so we were like, yo, fuck it, let's do it.
Why the fuck not? Who else was on that after show?
Yo, get this. It was it was supposed to be Gates to Hell, Body Box, Omerta, Ballista, Turf Burner, and Deep Incision. And we were like thrown somewhere in the middle there. Yeah. And then it ended up being like Omerta, Ballista, us, and then like two other locals. And it was like awesome. I mean, I think it's cool that we did that, because that was our first time in Dallas without knowing when we're going back again. So I didn't really want like our friends' first time like seeing us to be at a festival, like what if they didn't have like the money, or like couldn't go that day or something, or like at that time of the day. So we did it. It was like free. Did a free after show, and that was like the hardest mosh I've ever seen in my life. From the stage, I was scared. I was like, oh fuck.
The guys standing behind the drummer like, oh, you guys do this.
Dude, that was like, especially, it was a smaller room, and like the bar owner was like really nice until our set. Then like people were getting like so rowdy that he was like, yo, you're not doing this shit again. And I was like, we're not even from here, bro. Fuck you.
It's a compliment though. You know what I mean? Like the fact that it's a compliment to you guys. It means people, went crazy. And you like, I think you guys really have like this cult following. We've been talking about that, me and Dom. Like there's this new you're considered with like Tactosa and like Psychoframe as like people who are bringing back like what I like to call real deathcore without trying to like shit on the new wave, but it's there's still, I keep saying they're super full of talent. It's just as someone who appreciate the old stuff like Jerome Demolisher and this old school thing, is that something that was like intended, or you just like, are you were you aware in your beginnings that you would be part of this like wave of bringing things back, or it just happened and it's how you sound? And I'm just curious.
No, we definitely knew, because we personally felt like the genre was getting like, it needed something, like a pop. And there was this band in like 2021 called they're still a band, but they haven't dropped since 2021, the Queen Guillotine. And
I was going to ask
Buffalo.
about that, because you've mentioned them being like kind of like the reason you guys are a band or something to that effect, right?
Yeah. Damn, you pay attention, bro. Holy shit.
He's a book, man. He knows everything. Like every time I mention a band, I'm like, okay, he's going to know exactly everything, every date, every...
Yeah. I said it at the show in Buffalo, because they're from Buffalo. We just played there at Mohawk Place. And I like guest listed the whole band, and we got to kick it after. But I said it like during our set, and then I posted a story and said like, "Yeah,
that's where I saw
reason."
it,
Yeah, that's probably. So you were either at the show or saw that story.
No. I'm in Montreal here. I'll be seeing you I'll be seeing you in April. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, dude. I'm hyped for that. But yeah, it was the Queen Guillotine, and they posted, like, the fact that they were like doing that. They were part of Paper Wings Records as well. And I was like, yo, they're onto something with this, because it was like good. And theirs is like old, like, it just sounds old, like demo quality, like the fucking clipping bass drops, like, not too many effects on the vocals, and like just death metal breakdowns, And we put like a snippet on Twitter, and it did really well. And then we started to take it seriously. We knew like something like this was gonna like become a thing. And then when Tactosa started it, we were all uploading through Slam Worldwide, like Psychoframe, Tactosa, 9 Dead.
Yeah.
And that they like that shit. They really like it, and I would say I like where it's going. And I think the statement last year was like the Deathcore Ain't Dead tour, and like Tactosa's blow up, and then Psychoframe in May. So like, that was like really exciting.
Yeah, I think it's just starting too, right? Like, I don't think this is going to be like just a small bubble and it's going to fizzle off. I think we're about, me and we're talking about it earlier. I think even right now, I'm sure there are a bunch of bands that technically don't exist yet, like that aren't like announced, or like are just like bands that are in the works, that are going to come out with that sound. I'm certain of it. I think we're going to have a lot more bands
that I know about. There's a lot that I know about and that I've heard that is going to like, it's going to become a thing, because the shit that I've heard, it's like, I heard like a few demos, and I'm just like, whoa, like with the way like the bands that are already out have gotten received, like the unreleased bands are going to go fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's because people like you guys and Psychoframe, and I don't know if you know this other band, it's called Slam Wish. Like they're super cool too. Like bring it back. Yeah. I feel like you're, without realizing, or even I think you realize, but like you're paving the way for people also to, other people being like, okay, let's do this. So I feel like this new thing, this new kind of deathcore, like Lorna and stuff like that, it has a place for that for sure. But you're kind of paving the way to bring back those crazy MySpace, whatever, like bass drop and intensity and stuff. And there's definitely a huge crowd for that, like a huge crowd for that. Like because I have a YouTube channel where I talk about those bands, and all the comments, people miss those days, right? Like it's kind of a thing. Everybody want to relive that. So in a way, you guys are giving that to people. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think Finn McKenty, punk rock, put us on his like I think he like vouched for us in like a video or something. And that's what he was saying, like this is kind of what the genre could use right now. And I would say like our most old school style song, like Mask of Sanity, is the one that he used. And
That's my favorite. I'll say it, by the way. That song is
probably the best
so
one.
fucking good, man.
Like so far, that's probably the best
So
one.
far, so far. Yeah, I'll give it to you guys.
It's probably the best one. And I think like it's cool that we have this sound and we go on tours with like modern style bands because number one, like a lot of these people don't know that this sound even exists. You know, if they just got into like heavy music through the internet or you know, are like coming from like a metalcore getting into heavier music, they probably have no idea about like Jerome or like Ion Dissonance from Montreal or like the Spies Icon, you know, they like, and
that's what was cool about Tactosa, that they were supposed to do that Dying Fetus Despised Icon tour. I thought that was the coolest shit ever, exactly for that. Because, you know, them being like in that new wave, like old school deathcore, but like in the new wave, playing alongside a band like Despised Icon, but also like Dying Fetus, you know, which is like something completely different. So for sure, the people that were going to be at those shows, you know, they're being exposed to this thing that they probably never heard of before, you know?
Yeah, I think like if every good deathcore band is influenced by like Dying Fetus or like a you know a death metal band that is still playing like 1,000 cap rooms and you know it's he like loved like Despise Icon and like older bands and like if we're in 2024, dude, this shit is like a lot of these people aren't old enough to like get it. I mean, I would say like including myself, to be honest. I mean, now I do, but like someone who
but someone who's like 15, 16 right now, you know, that they completely skipped it. You know, this is not even on their radar at all, you know?
Yeah. So say like a band like Brand of Sacrifice or like Lorna Shore takes out, you know, like an older school style band that's like fairly new.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the crowd would either be like, holy shit, I haven't heard this in forever. You know, like takes me back to high school or something. Or the other like reception would be like, what is this? This is awesome.
Didn't know this existed type thing. Yeah. And I think to be fair too, like if you look at bands like Lorna and Brand of Sacrifice, those are perfect examples actually that like those are older dudes that like they grew up on that shit, you know, both of those bands, they came up through the scene through like listening to MySpace deathcore and all that stuff. So I think that's like the perfect bridge, right? Like I think we're going to see a lot more of those kind of collaborations between some of the more like mainstream big top dog deathcore bands of today, bringing out some of the OG sounding MySpace style deathcore bands. I'm sure that stuff's just going to happen more and more for sure. Cause I think most of those older band dudes are all like, they're a fan of that sort of style. Like they grew up on that shit.
You kind of like, I think the reason it's not so big anymore, I mean, definitely the genre needed to evolve.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of it was like good for the genre because it's the biggest it's ever been. And I think metal in general is like the most marketable or the biggest like it's ever been. You know, like you see Knock Loose played Coachella. I think they actually headlined their stage at Coachella or it might have been Lorna Shore at fucking
Lollapalooza.
Lala. Yeah. But that's like crazy.
That's insane. Yeah.
Because that, from what I remember, the biggest was like Suicide Silence or Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Suicide Silence was doing the like the massive venues, but also like Hot Topic events.
And like the headbanger balls and stuff like that. And yeah.
So I think like the genre's in a great spot right now, and um, I think incorporating elements of why the genre became a thing, like death metal, hardcore, you
Yeah.
know, and not just that, you know, like taking influence from early deathcore itself is like something that we do a lot. But now we're like incorporating like the death metal parts we like, not even just old school death metal. Like we like
Anything. Yeah.
modern, you know, we like
Yeah.
modern bands, and a lot of bands are like killing it right now. So,
Well,
yeah, I'm excited.
a lot of those older MySpace like deathcore bands were super eclectic. Like I think you guys captured that super well. Like from riff to riff, it's always like it changes up quite a bit. It's rarely like a monotone one kind of mood thing. Like it switches up a lot, and I think that kind of comes back to like back in the day there were like deathcore was taking a lot of influences from a bunch of different styles. It wasn't as like you hear a lot of deathcore right now. It's kind of like just just death metal. You know, it's almost become more almost just like a death metal band, right?
Yeah,
And it used to be way more eclectic, and that's how we got all these bands that sounded completely different from one another because everyone was pulling from these different things. So all these bands sounded super different. I think there's like an argument to be made that like so much of it's been done, so it's like it's a bit harder like in 2024 to come up with like novel original ideas. But I think a lot of the bands like you guys that are doing the new style are like we were saying this about Psycho Frame too, like taking like that old school deathcore sound and not just like mimicking it, but actually progressing it, like bringing it to another place, giving it an extra push more than just doing the same thing that already existed. I think both me and Yan really we fuck heavy with these bands because of that. Because if it was just like more of the same, you know, it'd be cool because we'd be nostalgic, but you know, it would kind of do its thing and then, you know, we'd move on eventually, I think.
yeah, and I agree. I think like especially now that we have like better production and better quality, I think that like completes it, you know, like
Sure.
just moshable music. And that's not trying too hard, or like, you know, you could tell it was written by someone who moshes. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you could tell it was written by someone who listens to hardcore, listens to death metal, or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like really, you know, like is on that shit and gets it. It's like I fucking love that. And then the mix, like the modern mixes are like I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think something like a big difference that I found is like in the new wave, it's a lot of pop structure, right? So like the breakdown is very often at the same place or at the same time, but like if we're talking about Psycho Frame or you guys or whatever, like you never know. Like you can start the song and maybe in 10 seconds you're gonna get hit in the face with a breakdown. And as a fan or someone who enjoys a show, that's the best thing ever because you have no clue when it's coming, and when it's coming, it's you know, it's gonna be a big one. So I feel like that's another big difference, and it makes it crazier live, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like Mask of Sanity. I think that song captures like take this, take this, take this, just like
Yeah, just jab, jab,
nonstop.
jab.
You know, just take this, and that it's pretty hard to play live, but like when we nail it, it's so much fun.
No,
Like
you nail
I
it every
kind
time,
of
right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I kind of have like I kind of have like a not really like a script, but like I kind of feel out the vibe of the crowd, and if it's going crazy, I'll have them do like a circle or like have them jump at the end,
Yeah.
and like I have like a few call outs I like to use for that one. So yeah.
That's cool, man. I just want to get into maybe one last thing before we let you go, if you don't mind. I'm curious about the Adam Warren feature on the EP. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because you guys, I guess you guys won some sort of contest with him. He was doing this thing on his Twitch, right?
You're like the Nardwar of deathcore, bro. That's
Yes, sir.
sick. Yeah, dude, that was holy shit. When was that? I was like before dissimulation. Damn. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we were on Twitch, and our guitarist at the time was like, "Yo, let's enter this, like, I guess
it was like a bracket
nomination.
style,
Yeah, it was a
like
bracket,
elimination
like
thing, right? Yeah.
not elimination, like vote which band is like the best, or they think is the best, or like fits the best." And there was a lot of bands. I was like,
He
about
did
to go
that
to
through
sleep.
like a crazy amount of streams. Like he
Yeah.
like because there were so many bands. I remember.
Yeah. And when our guitarist brought it up, I was like, bro, like the fuck, we're not gonna win that. And we all hopped in anyways, and we posted about it, and then we started winning the first few matchups, and we knew it, we got to the semis. So Adam was already like one of my favorite vocalists at the time.
Yeah.
And that just like that alone meant something, that he was like listening
He knew
to
who
our
you
band.
guys were at a minimum at that point,
Yeah.
you know?
And then
Yeah,
he was like, speaking highly of us, and then we ended up winning. So we made a song, hit him up. He actually tracked it live on the stream. Shit, I forgot about that. Yeah. He like tracked
he does
it
a lot of
live
that
on
stuff
his stream.
live. Yeah, it's cool.
And it was, I like tapped in for some of it, and I was seeing like his way of, working into a song, and I learned from that too.
That must have been kind of
awesome.
crazy, right? Like he's doing the thing, like he's recording, but like on his stream, but it's your music, You're like, whoa.
Yeah. I was also like nervous because I was like, fuck, now the bar for vocals is so much higher. Like this dude's about to wash us on our own song. And but yeah, that was like one of my favorite features. And he actually did, I don't know if people know this, but he did like the middle of the song, and then he did the end of the song.
Yeah.
So like that was awesome.
Yeah, it's cool to not just have like it's just the breakdown, or it's just like a one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I could tell like he took his time to work into the song and feel out which part he wanted to do. I think we suggested a part for him to do, and he was like, like, I fuck with that. And then I also want to do this one too. I was like, yo, be my guest.
Yeah. You don't got to tell me twice.
Yeah. And
did you already have like all the vocal like patterns and stuff like laid out already, or like lyrics and stuff, or?
I don't remember. I think he did his first.
Okay.
I think he did his first. Yeah, he did do his first, because I built my like structure around what he did.
Okay.
But
that's super cool though, to have that kind of collaboration in the end too, right? Like and really be able to let him like do his thing and not be constricted by like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna do the thing that was asked of me, and that's it.
Yeah. And we're still in touch, so it was like a good, like idea of our guitarist to hop in the stream and vote, because now like I think I've ran to Adam a few times for like advice on like vocals or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then like the fact that you wanted us on that tour, I think that getting on the Twitch stream probably like helps
for sure.
that, probably 100%, like help that happen. So but yeah, that's awesome.
And it's crazy the amount of control and knowledge he has on vocal. Like it's mind blowing. Like he can just like you can tell it's to the point where it's natural for him. It's second nature. Like he can make a sound in like 3 seconds, like almost no warm up. Just he's doing like he does that on stream. He's just like he's explaining a technique and he just nails it like if he was in studio for a part. Like it's mind blowing for real.
Yeah, there's like a video of them live like a long time ago playing an intro that they never released, and he does like the whistle tone scream.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people nowadays, I mean, not even a lot of people, but like I can count like on my hands a few vocalists that can do it, which is impressive. But like back then, he probably had like no tutorial or anything. And I think that's something that Partially comes naturally. Like I think you have to have like a special,
He's got
I don't know,
his
like
own voice, right? Like you
Yes.
can hear like
no one can
no,
mimic that.
no one sounds like him. Like
No
there's a
one.
very
No one.
specific tone that he has. So to your point, I think there is something to be said about like that's just like he's got it. Like he's got that. That's him. That's his. That's his tone. That's his vocal thing. But yeah, there's no denying, dude. That dude's a fucking animal, man.
And I think he's giving advice. Like I heard on one of his stream, he was giving advice to vocalists on that part. Like he's very often saying that you need to find your voice and stop trying to like make a sound or something. Like do your, like you have to find your thing. And he's totally right. Like every big freaking band ever, they have their own, specific tone with their voice. It's hard to do. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy. Like, it's very difficult to find. But I think it's cool. He's giving, advices like that and just like trying to, help people being like, more conscious of what they're doing. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice to like give people who are trying to like learn how to become a vocalist, because it is like your main instrument that can't be replaced. Like you can replace guitar strings or cymbals or sticks, but like this shit is on you.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's like gone. So you gotta like prioritize health and like make sure like that's the key of how you find your voice, and like once you
doing
get
it
there,
right, not fucking up your voice.
yeah, and
like,
then you can develop like techniques, and like I think once you find your voice, you can
shape it
start,
into other things.
yeah, you can start listening to, because I like wasn't a deathcore vocalist at first. I just knew how to do false chord screams, and then I learned from like Ben Dewar, like David Benitez. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I don't know.
I don't think.
David Benitez is he's like a vocal coach out of like Massachusetts.
Okay.
And he's probably the best vocalist I know.
Oh, he's he like with the long hair? Is it the guy with
hair?
Yo, he's like he can do every vocal. Sorry, I just realized I know the guy. I've never seen that in my life. He could nail rock music with the like he does everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So David.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just looked it up. Yeah, he's fucking everywhere on YouTube and shit. Yeah, cool.
David would have this like, I wouldn't say weekly, maybe like bi-weekly episode on his page of like, if learn how to sound like Travis Ryan from Cattle Decap, or learn how to sound like Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel. So I would pay attention to these, and that played a big role because he simplifies it, man. Like a lot of this YouTube shit, they just tell you like stuff that you're not gonna learn by like watching
right
someone.
Words
yeah. But David like really captures it well with the way he explains it, and he kind of like did a lot of like, I guess, impersonations that fit my vocal style. So that's probably why you notice I sound like Ben Dewar, like.
You were more easily able to go through like tutorials or follow along to things that were more specific to what your voice was going to sound like in the end, versus like just learning from someone who doesn't have the same vocal tone as you do,
Yeah, David was my biggest influence for sure. Well, I think not influence, but like I guess like
teacher, I guess. Yeah, like,
teacher. I'm like as educated on vocals because of David. And the first thing David taught me was like health, like prioritize your health, drink your water. You can't drink this before you play, or you shouldn't drink. He didn't say you can't, but like, you shouldn't drink this before you play. And like, take a rest if you need to. If it hurts, stop. And then I was like nervous on our first tour because I'd never rocked out my voice for that long. And I think because I prioritized my health, that I was like, I held up fine.
That's so important, and it's funny you mentioned that. Like I was always doing false chord and dumb. By the way, it's when I was watching his videos, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how. Because this guy, like, it's so complex to explain what you do here and here, like it, and he does it in such a good way. Like he's gonna give you all the step to get to the right sound. So like after trying a few things, he made me realize and understand what I needed to do. So like, I think he's teaching people the right way to not injure yourself or like do the wrong thing or whatever while keep improving. So he's definitely, a big part of that. And what he's doing is awesome. And he's just too good. Like, I don't think there's a sound he can't do. I've seen him do all kinds of sound, like from deathcore, death metal, whatever. He does everything, even Slipknot, like, and he sings super well.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like he does everything.
I think David did like a Chester Bennington one. Like Chester Bennington, Ollie Sykes, which is like, dude, how the fuck do you even do that? Like that, and that shit sounds like it hurts. So that I think the sing, scream, like the Sam Carter Architects.
Yeah,
like
that like in
just,
between. Yeah, like screaming with notes.
Yeah, that like really impresses me. And another vocalist that I've like looked up to was the guy Justin from Tala, who
he has a lot of videos. He's one of the guys that really helped me personally for learning how to do that sort of thing. Yeah,
and Justin's like incredible. Like can do this high, the highest high you've ever heard. And like the sing scream can probably like do regular cleans great as well. And then like the lows, like Justin's really good at. And on the last day of tour, like Justin was like, anyone ever told you sound like Ben Dewar? I was like, fuck, dude, that shit meant like, I was like, damn, I did it.
Yeah, there's some good gas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
All
well,
right.
I want to be wary of your time and all that. So, I think I think this will do it, but, I want to thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a really, really fun, conversation to have, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me, and, I'll see you guys in Montreal. We'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about that afterwards.
For sure, man. And if you've got anything to plug, by all means. I don't know if you guys have anything else coming up outside of the tour. Or...
Yeah, literally in 2 days we're going to record. We're going to record with Chris from Body Snatcher, who was in King Conquer.
Yeah, that's it.
Which I didn't know until recently that he was in King Conquer. And we're just gonna be like 2 days like locked in.
That's it.
And
what do you, if you can say, I don't want to pry any info you don't want to give, but just a single, or are you guys doing more?
It's a lot of songs.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say what it is.
What's up? That's cool.
It's a lot of songs.
I'll take that, man. I'm fucking hyped.
We got
That's super
like
cool.
riffers and like we got a bunch of demos and breakdowns, and I'm hyped for it, man. I've been wanting to like just write
just
shit,
to do some more shit.
I think it's been a while. And I'm hyped because this is going to be like our fuel for like the year. We're starting off like early on. And but yeah, I'm excited to work with Chris because I heard his mix on Bleed Up Eyed by Body Snatcher.
So sick. Like, that album sounds dude, that so mix fucking is good, so man. Good. Yeah. And
Body Snatcher, like great dudes as well.
Yeah, like people are mentioning in the comments, because on my channel I just dropped a video on the story of King Conquer, and I met Chris. Like we video chat and stuff, and I did a video kind of where the artist was back in the days versus today. So I mentioned that Chris was in King Conquer and Body Snatchers. So people are mentioning it in the chat, but like Chris told me that it's actually how he met Body Snatchers, just because he started recording and learning about it, and at some point he recorded them, but it just clicked and he found his new band like that. But he's actually extremely talented, dude. It's crazy, like it's crazy, man. Plus,
Yeah.
plus, as a drummer, he's like, I mean, he's incredible. But like, even me who likes raw sounding things, he does a really good job at keeping the rawness and great production at the same time. So I think for you, it's going to be like perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, I like was listening to King Conquer today, and I'm like, damn, like, and I think he did some backup vocals on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I don't really know
he
what.
does the more hardcore,
Yep.
like Yelp. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a beast. Was he a drummer for that band?
yeah,
Dude,
and doing the vocals at the same time with the mic on the side.
Yeah, and
That's hard.
you want to know the crazy thing? When they recorded America Most Haunted, their first full-length album, he did all the drums for every track back to back in 9 hours. He nailed everything. Like I was like, what? Like what the? Like sometimes, most of the time, it take days to do like drums properly. He did that in 9 hours. He's just like, he's a freaking beast.
God, I hope he doesn't get annoyed of me because I'm about to be like, yo, I want to sound like that, bro. And
Dude, he's like, I think he's gonna love, like, he loves passionate people, and you're super, passionate. So like, that's all he loves, man. He likes seeing that. Like, poor guy. I've been talking with him for poor guy. Like, he was in his car, he just wanted to go to the gym, and he was telling me the story of King Conquer, and I was fanboying like crazy. I was like, dude, and in my mind, I was like, stop talking, just stop. And I couldn't. So like, but he's so cool. So like, I kind of prepared him to be patient with with you guys. You cannot be. So you're okay. You're gonna be okay.
It can't be worse. It can't be worse.
No, if you went through that, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm like similar when I meet people who were in like good old school bands, like that band Aegeon came to our show.
Those are the homies,
in Evansville, Indiana. Yeah, Evansville, Indiana.
Yep.
And Aegeon, bro, they were incredible. Like one of the most underrated bands like ever. And the guy like did the vocals in front of me, and it was like the loudest I've ever heard. Like the loudest vocals I've ever heard. And after like that long of doing vocals, it's like really impressive. But yeah, we got like a whole like playlist mapped out of like what we want to, use as influence for this next session.
Yep.
And I'm really hyped for it. A lot of breakdowns, man.
There we go.
That's all you needed to say. I'm okay.
Yan and I are more than okay with that. That's for sure.
Never too many breakdowns, dude.
Yeah, man. Well, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, man. You're super cool, man. It was great chatting, man. We'll
hopefully we're gonna see you in Montreal too, right? Like we're gonna go to the show, and
for sure, man.
Yeah, man. We the only time I was there, we were on the way to Quebec City. I had to like hop out and take a piss, but we'll actually that's it. We'll actually like get to like.
Well, we'll get some poutine. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Sure. That's how it's pronounced.
Poutine.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a weird way of talking, but it's
Poutine. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man. Right. Likewise, it was great kicking it with you guys.
It was sick.
Yeah, and yeah, man. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you guys in Montreal.
Hell yeah,
for sure, man. We'll keep in touch.
Take care, man.